Yeah, I think I was pretty much at the maximum yesterday. They had some of the markers were a little bit off. We saw 5K to go before the top of the summit, and it was actually like 5.7, which was a little bit disappointing kind of condition I was in. But it looked like a lot of people were in the same shape. I mean, you see a lot of the favorites. Levi looked good. Christophe Moreau looked really good. Cadel looked good. Some of the Rabobank guys looked really good. Decker's one of my outside picks. Way out, you know, if you're taking an outside pick, that's one of my outside picks to do something good in this tour, and he looked good yesterday. Rasmussen looked good, but the rest of the guys really looked like they were hurting. The whole Astana team didn't look really too good. Of course, Vino was dropped on the first climb, but then on the last climb, he pulled it off, finished with the front group. He was riding right next to me basically the whole way up that climb, and he didn't look like the Vino that I seen, but he got through it, and tomorrow's a rest day. So if he can get through today, limit any damage that he loses on the stage today, or who knows, maybe he's even better, then we'll see some action. Yesterday we called the tactics. I called the tactics a little bit wrong. I thought we'd catch the break. We didn't, but we did go over the top with 25, 30 guys, which is what I expected of the favorites all there. And yesterday you didn't see the tour won or lost yesterday. Sure. You just saw it go over, which I thought was a little bit strange. I thought we'd really see everyone take advantage of Vino being in a bad condition that he was, but no one did. They all held back. Moreau certainly had the legs, I believe, to do something, and he still held back to see what would happen. So maybe today we see with the mountaintop finish, of course, now you're going to see someone try something.
And an instant message from one of the other pro riders who exists in the Z department of my Rolodex, Phil Zychek. Yeah. And his question for you was, do you find it beneficial to eat large amounts of garlic?
I do, but we have to do it as a team, because if I do it by myself, then it's bad for the bus, it's bad for everybody. It's unbearable. I
got that feeling that maybe there was a little history with that story.
Yeah, there was. Roy Nickman, I was feeling sick one time, and he told me to eat like, I just cut him off some antibiotics, and I didn't want to take any more. So he said, well, why don't you just go to the store and buy, you know, some garlic and eat eight cloves of it. And I said, okay. And I didn't really know the difference between a bulb and a clove, so I ate 8 bulbs of garlic, and I was just smelling like garlic for the rest of the year, I think. And Phil is my roommate, so sorry, Phil.
It's more tactics. No one really wants to assume responsibility. Yeah, I think personally, like Vino and Kluden, they're playing a little bit. I think that they're using that to their advantage, so the team doesn't have to take responsibility, because they were the big favorites, and they see this as a chance to maybe let the other teams do some work. So, and you know, I think that's also indicative of what everyone else is doing. They just don't want to grab the reins just yet.
I think it's a really good day, you know. Frank was in front, I was close to him. We take a good time with the Vinokurov and Kluden, 2 important riders, also 2 Evans, I think. And I think that was a good day.
Are you afraid of Rasmussen in the GC?
No, he's an important rider. For sure we have to take care with him, no? But still we have a long week, or 2 long weeks, and nothing is done.
Thank you.
Okay, boys. Finito.
Yeah, it was an interesting day to see riders like Sastra and Levi in that second group with Vinokurov, while you see riders like Schleck and Contador up the road.
Yeah, you know, Tignes is a climb. In the beginning, it's not very steep, so we had our plan was to send Popovic and Contador with groups and Levi stay with the favorites. That's what we did. But you know, ultimately that there was some guys like Moreau and Evans and Schleck in there, and Mayo, Valverde. So some of the favorites were in the front, but I think we made a choice, and okay, Contador was up there without the flat tire. He would have been today 3rd in GC, and Levi did what he had to do, so I think everything went to the plan.
How does Rasmussen in yellow for the next few days, how does that change the tactics for the GC riders?
Well, you know, it's difficult to predict. I think even 2 years after Lance Armstrong's retirement, everybody still has the postal syndrome, and they're all used to ride behind the favorite and ride behind the team, and nobody knows what to do. So it's different racing, and I have to say, for me, it's interesting to watch. We definitely didn't come here with with the ambition to or the conviction to win the Tour. And I have to say, it's easier to sit back and watch what's happening when you have 7 Tour victories in your back pocket. Some riders, and some teams, they absolutely are desperate to win the Tour, and some of them don't know what to do. Some of them make mistakes. But ultimately, I think it's going to be a Tour where the most regular rider with the best team to support him wins. And right now, there's still 7, 8 riders who can do that.
We try to keep them both in the general, because that's very important. And Dennis is the last guy to do something on the last climbs. So, and when Dennis can do something, then it's for himself also good. So we see they have to stick together, and that's the most important part.
2 years ago, I came pretty close to ending up on the podium if I hadn't been fiddling around on the pavement in a roundabout in Saint-Etienne. Then it might have been a possibility. So yes, of course, it crossed my mind that it would be possible one time in the future if the parcours would be in my favor. And I think this could be the year. The Pyrenees are extremely difficult this year. But like I said before, we still have 110 kilometers of time trialing to do, so everything is still wide open.